Sports Professor Rick Horrow, Beyond the Scoreboard, the inside look at the trillion-dollar business of sports as we are entering the midpoint of the best month in sports, both on and off the field. NFL at the quarter pole, basically. College a little farther ahead. NASCAR finishing its playoffs. IndyCar and golf have already done it. Basketball heating up. Hockey heating up even more. The baseball playoffs. We have, let's tease it right now, Joe Madden interview. He has a lot of free time on his hands, but that's not because he's not a darn good manager and treats his managerial situation as running a corporation. We'll hear about that and talk about that as well. If you want to see all of the top 15 issues in sports and philanthropy and tech, look at our NBCWashington.com, at Rick Horrow, horrowsports.com. Our 15 to watch, our 5 tech, and our 5 power are there. Or subscribe to us on Apple Podcasts, Google Play, Audio Boom, Stitcher, iTunes, and basically everywhere where fine content is sold. Let's talk baseball first. We'll segue into Madden, and then we'll get into other sports. The off-season, postseason actually heating up as we know, but attendance not so much, down 4.1% from last year to 69.67 million, even including the tiebreaker games, the lowest since 2003, and the first since 2003 to fall below 70 million. The Dodgers again led individual clubs in attendance for the 6th straight year. Franchise record total of 3.86 million, including the last Monday's NL West tiebreaker. The Marlins last 811,000, making them the first club since 2004 to fall below a million in home attendance. That was the Expos, who were about to move out. The defending champion Astros had the largest increase in the league, a 24% spike to 2.98 million. The Marlins and Blue Jays each shed more than 750,000 in attendance from 2017. MLB's attendance decrease roughly mirrors a 3.3% decrease all over the board, something that baseball has to deal with. Advertising revenue remains stable, though, and looks to stay that way from the playoffs. MLB playoffs pricing about $100,000 per 30-second unit for early games, $500,000 for the World Series. Who's buying? Well, GM at $8.6 million, SoftBank $10.1 million, Berkshire Hathaway $7.4, Ford Motors $6.9, Verizon $6.8, Wells Fargo $5, Young Brands $4.5, Anheuser-Busch Always $5.6 million this year. The ad market for baseball's postseason looking even healthier thanks to the avalanche of popular big market teams that advanced. Yankees, Dodgers, Astros, Braves, and oh no, Cubs didn't make it. Well, wait till next year. We said that for a number of years, and maybe we break that again. We already made the playoffs, so let's not harp. U.S. sports memorabilia market, by the way, $5.4 billion according to John Wall Street, $4.7 billion from gross merchandise on eBay, $62 million from auction house private sales, $400 million for online retail venues. And vintage baseball jerseys have fueled a lot of the industry's boom to continue to tie it into baseball. 1964 Mickey Mantle World Series jersey sold for 3 times the previous high, $1.32 million. A Babe Ruth game worn away jersey, $4.416 million 6 years ago, $10 million now. Fan apparel, products estimated in mass, left out, even though it seems to include reasonable to include baseball cards. We may do that, bringing the industry even higher. People going to games, people buying products with ads, and people buying memorabilia. Couldn't be any better. All we need are new stadiums. Tampa Bay Rays denying that their move to purchase the USL soccer club Tampa Bay Rowdies had anything to do with an attempt to find a new stadium. Tampa Bay Times says the surprising purchase gives the ownership group at least a short-term control of downtown waterfront Al Lang Stadium, the site where the Rays tried to build a new ballpark 10 years ago. The connection is why many speculate the purchase goes beyond a simple entry point into the American soccer market. Though Rays president Brian Auld said it was just an opportunity to buy a soccer team. The Rays have been trying to move from their current home at Tropicana Field for years and are seeking an alternative St. Petersburg location to their proposed new home in Ybor City, where talks have been ongoing to bridge the funding gap in completing the $900 million deal. The Rowdies deal, complete with soccer stadium, may give the Rays a leg up, but it obviously is early to tell. Philanthropic stuff as well, by the way. MLB's pro season underway. T-Mobile goes to their hashtag HR4HR to help hurricane relief efforts. Team Rubicon, the uncarrier company, will donate $5,000 for every postseason home run to help mitigate the damage caused by recent hurricanes in the U.S. Last year, it was Harvey in Houston. This year, obviously, Florence, and we got a new one. And after last year's massive success in raising nearly $3 million during the MLB postseason, T-Mobile reaffirmed its dedication to U.S. military and veterans during All-Star Week and the T-Mobile Home Run Derby with hashtag Hats Off for Heroes, and is back at the plate with an even greater difference this season. How about this? EverFi at it again. You remember them with the Summer Slugger program with baseball. Now they've got a connection with the Chelsea Football Club, launching Digital Blue Career Inspiration Program, bringing hands-on STEM teaching to 25 schools in Manhattan at no cost to schools and inspiring the next generation of STEM professionals. The Chelsea FC Foundation and EverFi announced the new project during a visit with students at Frederick Douglass Academy, where they joined students and educators to discuss STEM careers. Digital Blue Career Inspiration introduces middle and high school students to exciting careers in technical fields and uses gamified lessons to encourage and prepare students for a career in STEM. As part of the course experience, students will virtually hear from Chelsea FC and Chelsea FC women players and Chelsea FC Foundation executives who will talk about the importance of STEM education and how these topics are part of key careers in the industry. And following classroom time, Chelsea FC coaches hosted a soccer skills lesson, teaching the students how STEM is relevant on the field as well. Chelsea FC launch follows on the heels of a similar initiative announced with IndyCar driver Zach Veach last month. Clearly, EverFi adept and harnessing the power of STEM and sports. How about on the tech side, MLB Players Association cashing in on esports for its own players. UMG Media Corp worked out with the Players Association in a deal to launch the first ever esports series of competitions designed exclusively for MLB players. The events started on October 3rd with the Fortnite Challenge and will run until its December championship in Vegas. Fans can follow the mixture of active and retired players who will compete against each other through UMG Twitch channel that'll stream the contests. For the live championship finals and the live final, UMG partnered with Caesars Entertainment and the Wall Gaming Lounge to host 16 teams of Major League players competing for the Challenge Series title, in addition to cash prizes. National shortstop Trey Turner, Twins reliever Trevor May, Astros starting pitcher Lance McCullers have already confirmed their participation in the tournament. Let's see if they can play as well as they pitch and hit. How about a diversity of all aspects of baseball? Revenues about $12 billion a year. It's a huge corporation. And if I were picked to hire someone to manage the details of that corporation, it would be Joe Madden hands-on. He's got certainly academic learning, but his book smarts, his willingness to adapt to people, his flexibility, his imprimatur, his pedigree. Yeah, he took the Rays to a series, but even more notably, he won the series with Sports Professor Rick Horrow in the boardroom beyond the scoreboard, the manager of the decade, maybe the century, maybe the millennium. Is a decade longer than the millennium?
Extraordinary
do you know?
It can be.
It can be?
Actually living it can be.
Yeah. I hope so. I hope we're living long enough. And I made a comment to Joe Madden, by the way, who is the CMO of the Cubs organization. We'll talk about why I say that. But first of all, manager extraordinaire. Latest number is 10,874 wins for the Cubs since their inception.
Wow.
Most important one, first week in November 16.
November 2.
Maybe?
Yeah.
November 2. Remember the day.
Yeah, exactly.
Do you remember where you were?
I was in the dugout and ground ball to third base, and I thought KB did slip. I thought it
He did slip, didn't he?
But it hit Rizzo in the face, and then I just thought 108 years right there.
108 years.
Exactly.
But you've reflected for a year and change. Do you have the notion of the generational legacy, the game-changing? People come up to you all the time, and they will for the rest of your life. But have you put it in perspective?
Well, I think the longer, the further you get away from it, the more it becomes in perspective. I think when you're actually living it in a moment, there's so much surrounding it, and your life is moving very quickly at that point, so you don't really sit down and analyze exactly what had just happened. You know what happened, but you don't really permit yourself that opportunity. So I think the further you get away from a moment like that, the more you understand the impact. Of course, I know the impact generationally. I know, great-grandparents and grandparents. I get it. But you have to kind of like almost be done with this to be able to reflect properly and really appreciate the moment. To be part of that group, the players, the front office, the ownership, the fan base, it's pretty exceptional.
You're more like Gandhi than a normal baseball manager. How's that?
Gosh. There's times you got to be a philosopher. There's other times you got to. Well, actually, he did it in a nice way too. I mean, whatever he tried to be forceful, he did it in a peaceful way, and that's not a bad way to live. Do you lose your temper a lot? You saw it the other night against Bill Miller.
Remember that?
That was.
Right.
It's primarily when I do lose it when umpires, I think, make calls like they did the other night, which I think were truly not necessary, and it impacts your game. Listen, we've been practicing since February, and our guys play hard every night. To have an umpire just make a call like that could put you in a bad place, and you could win or lose a division by one game. So all those things matter. And then at the end of the day, you players have to see you. They have to see you stand up for them. I promise you, if they do, the fight really increases. If they don't, the fight will decrease. So it's just one of those things you have to do, but for me, it's a part of my nature. And
you have less opportunity to showcase that with the replay. You just push a button and it's right or wrong. Right?
Exactly. There's many, there's less moments that you may want to get involved. Balls and strikes a little bit because I can tell up or down. I can't tell in or out. Check swings are a really big part of possibly getting ejected. And plays like the other day when I thought it was truly unjust, then I could get involved. But you're right, instant replay is pretty much taking the argument out of the game. Are your arguments contrived or impulsive? I'm totally impulsive. I could go from 0 to 60. I was not even the other night. I wasn't anticipating any of that, and all of a sudden here I am in the middle of this, and I'm out there speaking loudly with Bill, and he was not going to throw me out, so I knew I had to do something to get him to throw me out. Thus, I ran down to first base. I've never done that before. Stood there like a first baseman to really make my point, and then I walked off the field. Are you fined when you get thrown out? Of course, yeah. I haven't received that yet, but I'll be. Well, it'll go to charity. Anyway. Yeah, right, exactly. Good. Yeah, good for you. Yeah. So you've been in the game now 25 years. Well, you've been in the managing, the coaching, the coaching side. 93. Three. May '94 was my first year. All right, as a coach. So Sosha, Buck Rogers, Terry Collins, John McNamara. Marcel Lashman. Yeah, I forgot him. Yep. You had a chance to work with major league managers. Right. I assume learning bits and pieces from each one as you went along? Of course. Started with Gene Mock. Gene was there when I first came up as a minor league coach going to major league camps, and Gene was the manager. And I had so much respect for him, his mind and how he did things. And he took a shine to me. He liked me. He put me in charge of different things when I was very young because he watched me in instructional leagues, and he liked the way I ran instructionally. I was just doing my thing. I wasn't trying to impress anybody, but Gene saw everything. So Gene was the first guy that made those kind of impressions on me. There was hitting coaches like Benny Himes and Rick Down. They made a lot of impressions on me. Marcel Lachman is another great example. Moving it forward, the best coach I've ever had, the best mentor I've ever had was Bob Clear. Nobody's ever heard of Babalu, but Babalu was an old pirate farmhand. Pitched in the minor leagues a long time. He knew Mr. Rickey. Mm-hmm. He was there when Clemente was there. So Babalu was the guy that really put me on my way. When you write your leadership book and you transcend, what do you think the traits of a CEO of a large corporation, how do they match with the way you run the Cubs? I'd imagine no different at all, but I hope to believe it's no different at all. I mean, I really think it's we have this artwork out this year and on the Banksy. It's really typifies exactly what I think you have to do in order to be that person, and that's to build relationships. Once you've done that, trust ensues, and then after that, you can exchange ideas. And at that point, then you can really be constructively critical of one another, because there's not going to be any pushback just based on somebody trying to be right. And then you really get something done. So I don't think it's any more complicated than that. And I also think the other part of that are great listening skills. If you think you know everything, you're not going to listen. And if you just want yes men around you, you're never going to prosper. So all those things are important.
Final question from a management perspective. If you accept the Cubs as a worldwide brand and you see yourself, some could see you as the CMO of a worldwide brand, you're the front porch of a larger brand on and off the field. Do you conduct yourself a little differently, or is it still, how do you get a runner from first to third? Are you more global in your perspective, understanding the legacy of the brand?
I don't know. I understand the global perspective, but I don't think of it. I mean, I just think of it I really try to stay in the present tense as much as I possibly can, and if I'm able to do that, then all this other stuff will translate properly. And if I'm more concerned about this larger stage, then I'm probably going to make more mistakes. Then your focus wanes. So just stay in the present tense, and good things will happen.
And your charity, really important. Obviously, we're here today for that. Talk a minute about that.
Well, it's the Respect 90 Foundation, and under that umbrella, today's specific event benefits the Hazleton Integration Project in my hometown, where we're bringing together the Hispanic and Anglo cultures in my hometown. We have a community center right now, very vibrant post-school academic kind of a situation, athletics in our gym. In and outside of our gym, we got this wooded area now too. We're getting a lot more participation from the locals, so that's really prospering, and it really is at the forefront of what's going on in our nation right now.
If it mattered, if you knew that the person that's interviewing you hasn't taken off Cubs shorts in 2 years and has promised not to take them off until the Cubs win again and has started a playoff beard, would it impact how you manage?
I would sit a little bit farther away from you if you knew all that.
Man, I'd want to sign up with Joe Madden right now and can't wait for next season to start. But alas, he's got a long time through this offseason and next. Let's go to hockey. As the NHL wraps up the first week of regular season play, league-wide revenues on an upward swing. The league and its 30 teams projected to increase annual sponsorship revenue by $35 million, boost annual ad revenue by $24 million, and add $6 million from the sale of data each year if legal sports betting spreads as projected to 25 states in the next 7 years, according to a study released by the American Gaming Association. The study, based on a Nielsen sports survey of over 1,000 U.S. adults, projects hockey to benefit from an overall revenue increase of $216 million tied to betting, with $132 million of it coming from gains in ticket sales and media rights that it predicts based on an assumed increase in fan engagement. And outside of placing an expansion team in Seattle, the league clearly sees China in its next horizon. The NHL preseason games in the country last month, and they also obviously recently opened up a youth hockey school in Shenzhen. Look at the NHL to do a lot at the beginning of the season and beyond. The Leafs are the first NHL franchise to launch an e-sports competition, doing so after partnering with online video gaming platform World Gaming Network. The Leafs Gaming Network set to serve as a 1-versus-1 online ladder for fans to compete in competitive games who could play in the EA Sports NHL 19 ice hockey title. The new competition launched later this month, MLSE taking this the first big step to structure and significance of the Toronto's NHL gaming community. The esports group will compete head-to-head to climb the virtual ladder to the top, the grand finals being hosted January 3 at the team's facility, Scotiabank Arena. The NHL's first dip into the esports world came earlier this June when Finnish gamer Erik Temenpää won $50,000 from winning the NHL Gaming World Championship. Just the tip of the iceberg when considering the NHL's esport portfolio. How about charity as well? The Penguins goalie ready to finish his glove work with the Saves Matter charity program. Matt Murray donates a combined $30 to youth-based charities in his hometown of Thunder Bay, Ontario, and Hockeytown, Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania, for each save during the 18-19 campaign. Murray gets his charitable passions from his father, who worked with his hometown charities throughout his life. $15 from each save will go to the Ward Home in Pittsburgh, and the other 15 will be split among two charities in Thunder Bay, Children's Aid Services and Dilco. The Ward Home teaches at-risk teens and young adults how to live independently, while the Thunder Bay charities cater to the safety and health of children, as well as the well-being of the Indian communities. If Murray can put up similar numbers as last year, 1,300 saves, $40,000. Pretty good. Well, you can't say hockey this time of year, without talking NBA, and the NBA is right there as well, ready to launch. The Phoenix Suns teamed with PayPal to put the company's logo on its jersey, becoming the 25th team in the NBA to sign a jersey patch deal. According to the Sports Business Journal, the agreement makes PayPal the official payment partner of the Suns, the Mercury Real Club Deportivo Mallorca, a second-tier Spanish soccer club owned by Robert Sarver. The primary driver for us and PayPal is customer experience and catering an environment that is seamless and convenient, says Suns President and CEO Jason Rowley. PayPal will now become a visible payment option at Talking Stick Resort Arena, and at the team's store there, fans able to access the service via the official Suns mobile app. The move by the Suns to sign PayPal goes well beyond boosting the team's top line, helps make payments easier, catering to demands of who? Younger fans, millennials. We understand. How about catering another example? Part of the NBA streaming options, John Wall Street says the league set to offer fans the opportunity to purchase 12 minutes of an out-of-market game for $1.99. The new option, the Partial Game League Pass, provides the NBA with new revenue streams on top of its other League Pass offerings. Premium at $250 per season, traditional $200, individual team $120, single game about $7. The offering has been years in the making, and NBA Commissioner Adam Silver first discussed partial game packages and fan interest, paying a set price for 5 minutes as opposed to what they pay for 2 hours back at CES in January 2016. It's another great example of a league catering directly to cable-cutting millennials who have short attention spans but also crave drama. We all crave drama. The NBA craves money. How about golf? Momentum, a word that's come to define Mike Wan's tenure as LPGA commissioner. Since he took over the LPGA in 2011, the narrative emanating from the preeminent women's golf tour, progress and expansion. Over the course of the past 7 years, the circuit schedule has grown from 23 to 33 tournaments, total prize purses to nearly $70 million, and the LPGA broadcast audience surged to around 500 million households worldwide. All told, LPGA revenue soared by a staggering 88% since 2012. Commercially speaking, the LPGA's deal-making accelerated dramatically in recent months. Since the start of 2017, the tour has signed no fewer than 16 new corporate partners, bringing on board 8 new tournament title sponsors, including the Indy Women in Tech Championship, driven by Group 1001. That slate a testament to sponsorship philosophy that spans the entire organization, from the golfers to the front office staff. And by the way, societal forces also helping to shape the LPGA's momentum with a renewed focus on women's empowerment and equality. And one other issue as far as golf is concerned, there is a big deal that is adding celebrity to the mix. Diamond Resorts announced the initial group of world-class sports and entertainment celebrities confirmed to play in the inaugural Diamond Resorts Tournament of Champions, January 17 to 20 in Tranquillo Golf Course at Four Seasons Resort in Orlando. Hall of Famers Ray Allen, Brian Urlacher, Pudge Rodriguez, John Schmaltz, Marcus Allen, Roger Clemens, John Lester, Justin Verlander, Michael Waltrip. There are a lot of others. The women competing for $1.2 million in official prize money over 72 holes of stroke play, no cut, while the celebrities compete for their own $500,000 purse. All 4 days nationally televised, Thursday and Friday on Golf Channel, Saturday and Sunday on NBC. Next month, Phil and Tiger, January, the LPGA versus the OGs. How about that? Not a bad idea for the LPGA. And finally, the NFL. They'll consider an exit clause in their deal with DirecTV following next season. John Wall Street said that in doing so, the NFL would strip the satellite provider's exclusivity rights to broadcast the Sunday ticket package out of all out-of-market games. The current deal, signed 5 years ago, sees DirecTV's paying the NFL $1.5 million per year, and it's set to run through 2022. Speculation is the league would break the contract to then package satellite rights with global streaming rights and continue to grow the revenue pie. DirecTV only allows some of its Sunday ticket subscribers, only college students, and those able to prove the inability to place a dish on their home to stream games online, proving its outdated nature in a 2018 marketplace dominated by OTT platforms, obviously. Google previously made a bid for the rights to NFL Sunday Ticket. Without satellite capabilities, it lost to DirecTV. Expect companies like Google and Amazon to re-enter the race for the rights if the NFL opts out of that deal. Let's finally talk about NFL charity and philanthropy. Philadelphia Eagles' Chris Long keeps on giving back, this time for children's literacy. And after donating his entire $1 million salary last year toward educational initiatives, the Eagles defensive end announced he's now donating an additional quarter of his post-tax 18 salary, about $625,000. According to NBC Sports, Long is partnering with United Way and Philly's Read by Fourth to ensure that every child in the city is reading at their grade level when entering fourth grade. Long is calling his portion of the charity First Quarter for Literacy, which tackles Philadelphia's lack of adequate elementary reading ability. Almost two-thirds of the children in the city entering fourth grade, unbelievable, unable to read at grade level. Chris and his wife Megan also have a goal of donating 75,000 books for children to personal libraries at home. In addition, 3 Chris Long book nooks will be funded for neighborhood-based give-and-go reading spots. The Long, relentless dedication to philanthropy spilling over to other players in the NFL as the couple is matching donations of fellow NFL players up to $25,000 to help literacy in other communities around the country. Well, that's it for our show this week. We'd like to thank Dan Martin and Tanner Simpkins for putting it together. We'd like to thank Joe Madden for his brilliance and entrepreneurialism in managing and giving of his time. And we'd like to thank you for listening and watching and welcome you once again to join us when we go Beyond the Scoreboard.